Conjuring is a 2013 American supernatural horror film directed by James Wan. Stars Patrick I Could Do Better Wilson, Vera Vagina. They star as Ed and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators and authors associated with prominent cases of hauntings. The Warrens came to the assistance of the Perron family, who experienced increasingly disturbing events in their farmhouse in Rhode Island, 1971. It received positive reviews from the critics, who praised the performances, direction, screenplay, atmosphere, musical score. It grossed over $319 million worldwide against a $20 million budget. The sequel, Conjuring 2, was released in 2016. It's a true story, Brad. This happened.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Goes surreal.
Everything in this was factual. It was in a book written by people who documented this with science.
Science.
Can you believe it?
Well, I have to now because it's true.
Yeah, it's fact. Do you like it?
Yeah. You know what? Ron Livingston was in this. Did he do his
Office
TPS
Space.
reports? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a horror guy. I like to rock into every October and have a little month of scary movies. And start off the month, I was like, well, yeah, The Conjuring. Everybody had talked about it. It's got a few sequels, so I thought I'd dip my toe in the water and try it out. And I made the mistake at 41 of thinking, yeah, I can watch a scary movie at night. I'll be fine. I'm an adult. Honestly, I got, 20 minutes into the film. I found it really unsettling. Just the whole setup, the whole thing. I was like, it got on my nerves. And I had to stop it. I'm man enough to admit it. I stopped it. I turned it off. And I was like, it was kind of just before, spoiler alert, the apparitions actually appeared. And so the tension that was created there, I was like, oh, this is great. This has got me. And so I turned it off like a scared little bitch. And I came back to it the following day in the daylight. And it was a bit of a piece of shit. I found that setup part. I loved it. And it got me in the right space. And then as soon as they started revealing everything, I was like, okay. The build-up was wasted on me, my friend. What did you think?
Well, I think you shot yourself in the foot there by pussying out in the beginning and then coming back to it during the day and it's a really good film. I enjoyed it. It was to me, I love horror films. I love a really good horror film. So I was waiting for it to get going in the beginning, to be honest. I wasn't wasn't feeling the atmosphere you were talking about, but it built and built, and I was watching the setups and everything got paid off and everything was great. I thought that was really one of the problems with a lot of horror films is they overuse the jump scare and the pathetic. Like it's always the woman comes downstairs and it's dark and then the wind is blowing and it's building up and then it's just a cat jumps on the bench and that sucks. But in this film, they set up the whole clapping thing and then the kids are playing the clapping game, trying to find each other. Yeah. And the lady's in the basement and they're looking and we're waiting for the ghost to appear and it doesn't appear. And then she's got to the top of the stairs and then she turns around and then the hands come out of the dark and it's the ghost. And clap. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit, I jumped. I was like, there was the jump scares. I actually jumped in. They were great.
Yeah. That moment.
Because it was actually the ghost.
Yes, that's right. It was actually the ghost. That's been voted one of the top 10 jump scares or something as the clap moment. Yeah.
There was a couple that really worked on me. Let's say it's kind of like it's, I don't know what the rating is, but it's like a PG-13 horror film. Like there's no
Yeah,
blood,
yeah,
there's no gore.
yeah.
It's kind of a family movie. It's the worst thing you're going to see is a little girl getting dragged around by the hair, and then they cut her hair, and then it's over.
Yeah.
There wasn't nudity. There wasn't a woman in her underpants running out the street with the boobs wobbling around everywhere.
Yeah, it's a flaw.
It's pretty
It's a flaw.
PG-13. You got a bruise on a leg, but the chick wasn't that hot.
Yeah, yeah. I think I found the like the start. I think I found it disturbing because it just kind of tapped in to childhood fears. You know, like when I was a little kid, I used to be in the upstairs bedroom, and you know, you have all those fantasies when you're a kid of a fucking axe murderer is going to come in and chop you up or whatever. And
If you're under the covers, you're safe.
you find well, that was what was
you.
wrong with that little girl. Yeah, she stayed on top of the covers, and she just pissed off the ghost. But like that whole thing of, you know, there's something in the room, and they got the bad smell, and they're like, "Oh, stop farting" or whatever. You know, that was the first clue, and it just built real slowly to the point of, oh, stop touching my foot or whatever. And then her leg got pulled, and then she got really hauled, you know, nights down. And that was what was getting me, that feeling of fuck that. If that happened to me, I'm out. You know, you know. But then, yeah, when it got into the scary, it was all about, oh, you know, again, spoiler alert, there's a fucking witch that was here, and she's possessing people to kill children. And it just lost me. It didn't have the scare factor, and it sort of, once it got off that initial story, you could tell, even if I didn't know there were sequels to this movie, you could tell that they were setting it up to make sequels for the team, you know?
Well, that whole Annabelle the doll thing in the beginning, it's kind of like, why is this even here? It doesn't come back later. But then, of course, you get a spin-off series of the Annabelle doll movies.
Yeah.
Which I saw. Annabelle 2 was the first one I saw of these, and that is terrible. That is god awful.
Yeah.
I think it was the second one.
Well, let's go back to the start. Let's put this in perspective. What are a couple of your all-time horror films? Let's learn a little bit about our podcasters.
For me, greatest horror film, I think I have to go to Exorcist because it's just a brilliant screenplay.
Right.
Everything's perfect. Story and character
brilliant screenplay.
It's Neanderthal. That's a well-written movie with layers to it. That's great. For all out gore fest, I have to go. There's a French film called Martyrs, which is the most disturbing thing in the history of the world. The original French film, my God, that is gore and disturbing stuff and skinned humans, and it's I can't get through this one. It's really the director apparently spent years apologizing for making something so horrible.
Excellent. That's marketing 101 right there.
Yeah, but fun films like The Hills Have Eyes, the remake they did, that was a great horror film. There's a lot of great horror films that actually aren't great films, like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's the
Poltergeist is a brilliant film.
Poltergeist, yeah. Yeah. They use real skeletons in the pool scene.
Yeah. Well, they're cheaper. And those people, well, they were just homeless. They're just getting in the way.
They want to be in films.
Yeah. They're better off. What horror movies do you like?
Look, when I asked you, the only thing that pops into my head, man, is The Shining. You cannot beat The Shining. That shit is awesome, right? Kubrick, Haunted Hotel, Jack Nicholson, little kid on his bike. There's twin girls in the hallway. Come play with us. Genius. Yeah. That's every time I watch it, still genius.
It's a very deep film. There's a lot of things going on. I know all the hitting meetings. I just kind of find it boring.
There was no moon landing. But then, horror films, horror. I'd probably go any of the classic 70s. You said Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Just get some slasher in there. The original Friday the 13th. Like Evil Dead 2. Though that started getting a bit funny.
Evil Dead 2 is a great film. But yeah, it's more of a slapstick. Three Stooges kind of a
became slapstick, yeah, for sure. But I liked, when I was a kid, I liked going to the video store and going to the horror section. You know what that was like? And it would just be like Prom Night 1 and 2 and Slumber Party Massacre and Hills Have Eyes and The Fly and all those kind of things. It was just
The Fly. That's a great one.
Yeah. There was something about the horror section where I'd stand there and I'd work my way through it, those $1 weekly rentals or whatever.
Mm.
Crazy names, red bloody writing. You knew you were going to get massacres.
Extra.
You knew you were going to get boobs. Yeah.
Yeah, Extra. Nightmare on Elm Street, which I'd built up for years. Like I wasn't allowed to watch them, and I finally got to watch them. I was like, oh, this shit is weak.
Yeah. Yeah, never rated Nightmare on Elm Street.
That shit is weak. But yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Martyrs over there.
I like a bit of. Remember Hostel? God, I remember being in the theater and they slashed that guy's Achilles tendon open, and you just see it rip apart, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
Hostel was shit, then. You know it. No, did you ever see that Green Inferno or whatever it was? Eli Roth's cannibal movie?
Heard about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Let's watch that at some point. Yes, sick fuck.
So the ghost hunters, real life people, these are Ed and Lorraine Warren. They were also the people that investigated the Amityville house things and wrote the book and got the movies made. And they make a lot of money off they investigated something like 10,000 ghosts reports, and they wrote books about it and made movies, and they made a lot of money from it.
Gee, I don't smell a rat at all.
Yeah, so I investigated.
Did your own research?
So apparently it's not real. It's not real. Apparently they faked a lot of shit. Apparently people looked into the Amityville horror series and they said it was just all made up and they can't find any forensic evidence of anything happening, and it was just made up over a bottle of wine. And these people pretty much accused of being serial fraudsters. There's people saying there was called the Enfield poltergeist in London, and there was reports that this house was haunted by a poltergeist. He said the owner of the house said that the Warrens turned up to try and investigate it. He basically said sod off, and then they went and wrote a book about it, and they were battling the demons in the house. But apparently the guy was just like, they were there a minute, I told them to go away. And they pretty much made everything up. And apparently it was attention hungry children were faking the poltergeist in the house, they found out later. There was another guy that said that if Ed and Lorraine Warren told him the sun was coming up tomorrow, he would want a second opinion because he just did not believe anything they said. They did have the house with the museum. You can pay $13 and come through and see the Annabelle doll and all the other trinkets they'd collected over the years. But essentially, more or less fraudsters, it sort of seems. Well, it's highly dubious what they were up to.
Yeah, that's what I got. I mean, this was the whole, it reminds me of the Blair Witch Project, right? The film comes out, and to market it, you go, oh, this is based on fact. This is real. This happened. The Warrens have seen all this stuff. And you go to the right websites and it says, yeah, this is what happened. Here's photographic evidence from the Warrens. And then you go to a third, a fourth, and a fifth website, and they're like, yep, they went to a house and they had a seance, and that was it. And so all the rest is just layered on top for a good story.
Well, this story was basically built around the Salem witch trials. It took place in that era. the ghost lady dying and all that sort of stuff. And what I heard recently was, we've all heard about the Salem witch trials. What they think now is they've found that there's a plant that grows nearby that's got hallucinogenic properties to it. When the wind blows its polleny, um, hallucinating pollen across the town. So back in the 1800s or whatever, they would have been getting a whiff of this hallucinogen, seeing weird shit, and then going burn the witch, basically. Where it all
It's
came
the
from.
first I've heard of that. All right, I
Yeah.
will look into that. That sounds extreme. Wouldn't they still be having those visions now? Wouldn't the pollen still be there?
I think possibly they might do, but no, understand it more now. Like, I think I have a 96-year-old grandmother right now who is currently saying that there's a man standing in her room at night breathing, and things are moving around the house and things are getting missing. She's legally blind. She's losing her marbles. And I think back in the day, we didn't have words to describe these sorts of things. Like, we didn't have
Yeah.
words for schizophrenia and stuff like that. And we've explained it with ghost stories. The demons must be doing. We used to let people used to bleed people to get the evil demons out of them. That was what a doctor used to do.
That sounds great. Let's bring that back.
Well, it worked then, work now, won't it?
Yeah, that's it. Bring back electroshock therapy as well.
And I did a deep dive once about exorcisms. They perform one in this movie, kind of. But generally, people that have exorcisms performed on them, when you look into it, they have a long history of drug abuse. They have usually a long history of sexual abuse, and they act weird. Like, it's all signs of sexual abuse, which is what The Exorcist was about. The little girl character in there was being molested by the director. Is one of the, if you look for the clues, that's what's going on in that film. So it's not really a demon possession kind of a film. So we make a lot of things up sometimes, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you ever had any encounters?
No, I did have one weird experience where like my mum years ago just said to me, "Why don't you go to a medium and get your future told?"
Yeah.
And whatever. So it's $50. Went to this lady. You talk to her for 40 minutes, and she records it on a tape. Gives you the tape at the end. And she said my granddad was there, and she had his name Robert, which is my dad's name, dad's father's name. So that was correct. But she was telling me a whole bunch of stuff. I had no idea what it was about. None of that sounds right. So I took it to my mum and we played it. And I told her about this whole section that didn't make any sense. And we played the tape through. The tape runs through, hits the end, reverses, and plays back automatically.
Yeah.
It did that. It hit the end, came through, played back, and it played that same section again.
Right.
And then when we hit rewind, put it to the beginning and played it again, it played that same section from the beginning of the tape that was actually on the end of the tape. And we were freaking out, like, how is this happening? And it wasn't Robert, my grandfather, from my dad's side. It was a Robert from my mother's side describing lots of things about her that were all happened.
Out of it.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. That was scary. And I remember we tried playing it back again, and it was normal.
Wow. Funny. Hey, then it worked. Was it worth the $50?
I didn't learn anything. It was all about her, and it all happened in the past. It's nothing but the
Back to
future.
the Conjuring. Did you enjoy this film, my friend?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was great, but it's a PG-13 horror film. It's not a gross out film, but it's kind of more like it's for like a starter horror film for young people, I guess, who aren't gonna. It's for people that aren't into the gore. It's a horror film for
Yeah.
people who don't like gore. It's a
Would you,
softer
by
one.
choice, do The Conjuring 2?
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
James Wan, he's the director who also did the Saw series. I think he's really good. I enjoy he did the Insidious series as well. I enjoy the Insidious
Oh,
films.
which one was Insidious? Haven't seen that one.
Exactly the same story.
All right.
It's
Oh
about
no,
these
I'm thinking
people,
of
the
the other
children
one.
gets possessed, but then they think the house is possessed, but then they realize it's the child that's possessed. And when they move houses, the ghost is following the child, not the house. And yeah, so it's basically the same story, but it's got red face. The ghost is red face. It's just a guy with red makeup on his face.
Okay. I thought he was in The Conjuring as well. Maybe he is. No, I was thinking of what's the one with Muriel from Muriel's Wedding, and kid gets
Ah,
decapitated.
yeah, Hereditary.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, that's what I thought Insidious was, but yeah, no, all good. Look, I enjoyed this film, but you're right. It's PG-13 horror. It's kind of like, you know what? When I bargain bin this, I'm going to do it with. It's going to be a triple feature. There's going to be The Conjuring. There's going to be Poltergeist, which you mentioned earlier, which is also PG-13 Spielberg horror. Then I'm going to throw in the Blair Witch Project just to mess with people's minds.
Can you do two? I
Yeah,
think you're breaking the
triple
rules.
pack. Triple pack. This is our fucking podcast. Do what we want.
Well, I'm going to double feature it with Martyrs and just dare people to get through that shit.
Oh, so you're going PG-13 and then you're going like you're going to end up in an institution.
Here's the hard stuff, dude.
Right.
Yeah, this will put
The
the
black and white,
heebie-jeebies up you.
or the white and red of it.
Bloody
Okay.
Corey.
Did you say Corey Feldman's in it? He needs to do more. He really does.
Is that the one that died or the one that's alive saying other people got raped, but he didn't?
Yeah, well, yeah. Corey Feldman from the Goonies, man. Not Corey Haim. Fuck that guy.
Oh,
He's the
right.
dead one.
I can't. Right. Feldman. Talented artist. Great musician. I don't know if you guys have checked that one out. You should look it up. Fantastic.
You said
He
that with a straight
influenced
face.
Michael Jackson very heavily.
Oh, yeah, I believe he did. That's right.
Millennium. Millennium.
He actually does. I'll give him. He does a good cover of the Lost Boys song.
Sings, dances, brilliant actor. What a talent. And hasn't been molested.
What a talent.
Everyone around him was.
I think if he was molested, maybe he'd be a bigger star. Oh dear, we're going to get legal action. Maybe we shouldn't post this episode. Corey's desperate for money.
If you want the job, you gotta scratch my back. He didn't take the opportunities that were offered. That's
honestly, I'd watch him in Goonies too, no doubt.
Did they? They did Lost Boys.
They didn't make one.
2 or 3 or
they did. He did like Lost Boys 2, 3, 4. Man, he tried real hard to keep it going. And then yes, his music career, something about angels. I don't know. What would you rate this film out of 10 PG-13s?
Ah, shit.
Stare at the sky. Would you watch it again? It's too many questions. Answer the first one.
Yeah, I'd give it a while. I'd watch it again. It's a good film. I give it it's solid. I'll give it a 7 cat's meows out of 10.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, look, I'm with you. To be fair, I probably wouldn't watch it again. but I would recommend it for people going, oh fuck, what's The Conjuring? You know, like it's worth the watch for sure. So yeah, I'm with you, like a 6.5, 7ish in that ballpark. You know, it's above mediocre for sure.
It's an enjoyable watch. Like, you can do a lot worse with horror films. Let's face it.
Yeah. I guess the only nonsensical part was that the poster for the film was the scary ghost tree out in front of the house with the noose, right? And that was such a brief, fleeting thing in the film. It was kind of like that was where the witch hung herself or where she was hung or something?
Yeah, you think about it, like, you don't see anything really at all. Like, the big event was the girl getting dragged by the hair and the lady on the chair hanging from the ceiling. Like, there's
Yeah.
yeah, and ghost lady popping in the jump scare into the face, going, "I'm gonna get you," whatever she was doing.
Yeah.
It's not like, as a horror film, there's not a lot of not getting blood and gore in this one, and
It's
you're not getting
it's not
side boob.
visceral.
Yeah.
Yes. All things are clear used.
Everything's solid. Acting's good.
Acting's good for sure. It's tense. A lot of like tenseness.
I felt Office Space felt a little bit. It was a little too dry and bored. It's
Has he done
monotone?
That's it. Has he done anything that's not just him in Office Space? That's Ron. When you hire Ron Livingston, you know what you're getting. You're getting Ron
monotone.
That's it. You're getting your TPS reports. You know.
I think the house is kind of haunted, and I think, yeah. Did I bruise you like that last night when we were having rough sex? Yeah.
Yep. You summed it up. That's Ron Livingston. He's got a TV show called it's not Milk, but it's something like that. Louder Milk. That's it. There was milk involved. Fucking genius. Louder Milk. I think it's on Prime or something, but it's got a couple of seasons, but it's the same thing. He's a music critic, but it's just Ron Livingston, the music critic.
I was thinking, like, no one dies in this, do they? Oh, it's apart from the ghost lady. Like, I could have done with a couple of the children being brutally murdered just to up the stakes. Like, there should have been a creepy barn, and they go out there, and the littlest, cutest child she's hung, and all her entrails are hanging out on the ground or something. Like, yeah, the children should have been brutally murdered.
I think if you wanted to go down that route, because it's based on a true story and the family lived, instead of the kids, they needed just some random nanny, or the gardener that comes around to clean up the house. You know who died? The fucking dog died, Dan. The dog died on the first night, and they went, this is okay.
Well, he's, you don't see anything, and he's basically having a roll over. Okay, let's film that. Okay, done. Yeah. And a couple of birds hit the side of the house. Like, there's nothing new in this film, is there? There's no, like, unique take on the haunted house thing. It's all the typical stuff.
Not at all.
But they do it well, and there's no blood, no gore. No one gets hurt.
This is a Blumhouse. Is this a Blumhouse film? Yeah. I don't know. I'm Wikipediaing, but they're behind all the new horror movement, right? Like, it's heaps of cheap but reasonably well made horror films coming out. I can't see it. Maybe not.
Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema.
Oh no, it's not. Yeah, New Line Cinema.
It's the big leagues. The cinematography is great. The camera works great. Atmosphere is great. Music's great. Acting's great. The only thing that I thought was weird was, when they brought the cop along, and it was kind of like, what's he going to do? Is he going to arrest the ghost if things get out of hand?
Oh, I thought all that stuff when they brought in the recording equipment. There was a little bit of humor there, but it was good. Like, oh, there's noises. What's that noise? Oh, the dude's in the toilet. The toilet flushes. That was good. It's like the old bait and switch.
He had a good bit
Well, we
when he
haven't.
was following the girl, and then she jumped out and grabbed him on the side, and he freaked out.
Yeah.
Little ghosted girl.
Also, The Conjuring. I can't believe you haven't mentioned this. Is a Megadeth song,
Yeah, yeah, I know that one.
and Megadeth. Because we haven't said it this episode, Metallica. There's a connection between Megadeth and Metallica, right?
It's 7 Degrees of Metallica.
Woo! We'll be back next week on 7 Degrees of Metallica. Thank you very much, everybody.
Fit Metallica in there somehow.
That's it. Perfect. See you for The Conjuring 2.
Thanks for listening to Pointless and Confused. We believe there's a little thing where you can send a tip if you want. We have no idea how it works.
We need cash.
Yeah. For whores.
And Vegemite.
Yeah. And what
Good day.
No. You've got to tell them the other thing.
Oh, what was the other thing?
Subscription.
Look, you could subscribe if you want to hear the sound of our sweet, sweet voices in your ear. Whenever a new episode drops, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah, we're not sure how you do that either, but you'll figure it out.
We're new to this. Come on, you guys.